Alright guys, so today we're going to be testing out a few different like survival / camping items that all have like multiple uses. So we're going to do what we do, run them through their paces, see how they hold up. But before we get to that, this video is sponsored by Manscaped. Manscaped has a new product, their Refined Cologne. It comes in this very nice box. The bottle also looks very nice, but most importantly, it smells good. It's honestly probably one of the best smelling colognes that I've ever smelled. It has a really nice citrus and woodsy smell. It smells great. So if you're in the market for a new cologne, I would highly recommend that you check this one out. You can check this out at the link in the top of my description. And while you're over there checking this out, I would also highly recommend that you check out the Performance Package 3.0. So, what is in the Performance Package 3.0? The first thing, and the most important, we've been over this a few times, this is the Lawnmower 3.0. This is the cordless trimmer, waterproof, has a nice little light so you can see what you're doing. Extremely nice skin-safe technology so you can be trimming and you don't have to worry about nicks or cuts. One of the best trimmers on the market. The Performance Package also comes with, you also get a bottle of ball toner. You also get some ball deodorant. And then for a limited time, along with all of this stuff, you get 2 free gifts. Those gifts being a leather toiletry bag, which is very nice, especially for free. And then you also get a pair of anti-chafing boxer briefs. 2 very nice free gifts. So if you want to check out any of these products or anything else that Manscaped offers, because they offer like a million products, you can click the link in the top of my description. And if you use code TUBE at checkout, you get 20% off plus free shipping. Alright, this is our first item. This thing, this is a disaster, is what this thing looks like. But it's a Machete Axe Saw. It tries to be all 3, all in one. And it looks like a really dangerous piece of equipment. You can see it's like, I literally, whenever I saw this thing on Amazon, like I was just scrolling through Amazon, I saw it, and I had to look at it for like 30 seconds to get my brain to figure out what was going on, because it looks so strange. So obviously, nice. I'm already bleeding. All right, so that sucks. So before I was rudely interrupted by my own stupidity, I don't even remember what I was saying about this thing. How kind of dumb it looks, having the axe and the machete side on, like an axe and a machete in the same piece, and a saw on top of that. It just feels weird having the axe there and then turning this around, and then here you have the machete. Like, it's just, I don't know, something about it is really weird. It is obviously, as I've already proven, it's very sharp. I think the axe is what cut me. We'll do a paper test. It's very, very sharp. Let's flip this around here and do the axe. The axe is just as sharp as the machete blade. Now, I will say before I start testing, I think this thing is going to be a way better machete than an axe, because it's just, the whole thing, as you can see, it's very, very thin. So I don't think that's going to lend it to be very good at chopping, but we'll see. So as a first test, just simply because we can, let's see if we can cut a water bottle in half and see how smoothly it does it, if it does it. I think this is going to be absolutely no problem. Ugh, some of that went into the heater. That was not nearly as smooth as I thought that was going to be completely honest. Although it did cut it in half, but I figured it would be like I'm trying to remember what did it before, but there's been a couple of times that we've sliced things with water bottles and they just, like, it just slices it real smooth, and then that's it. It doesn't sling it across and slice it. So that's kind of a little bit disappointing. Alright, so next up, I have this 4x4 here. We're just going to pretend like this is a tree, and we're going to do some normal machete things with this and just see how it feels. Alright, let's see. That was kind of weird. It didn't really dig in like I expected it would. This actually might be decent. Okay, so this is actually a very nice machete. This thing works great. It slices deep. Granted, this 4x4 is kind of, I mean, semi-soft wood, but still. I mean, that's working just like a machete should. So let's go ahead and try out the axe side. It feels very, very natural and very good this way. Whenever you flip it around, it just doesn't feel the same. It just feels weird. So let's go here. Oh wow. The blade is dented on the axe part. I don't know from what. That's kind of crazy. The axe side of it it doesn't feel right. It's not super effective. Let's try the saw part of it too. Actually, let's try that on a 2x4. So here's the dent. You can see right there. It's kind of difficult to get on camera, but that big of a dent just from hitting wood. So I got our 2x4 here. We're gonna go ahead and try out the saw. And already, I already don't like it, just simply because of the way that you have to hold it. Because you're pretty much stuck holding it like this and sawing this way, which leaves two blades facing you, which obviously, as we know, is extremely safe. I mean, I guess you could hold it like this and then like saw this way, which would just be really weird. It would be ideal if you could grab it this way without slicing your hand open. That would be ideal, but then that would kind of, mess up the whole machete part of it. So I guess we're stuck sawing this way. So let's see if this thing even works. This is a horrible saw. Like this is really bad. I mean, does the saw work? Yeah, I mean, technically it does saw. I mean, if you took a butter knife and rubbed it against a 2x4, you could still technically saw into it. But, so, it works, it's just not very effective and it's not very sharp. If you had to saw through something and your life depended on it and this is all you had, yeah, you could get it done. But, if this is a survival situation, I'm not gonna use the saw whatsoever. I'm gonna cut this wherever it needs to be cut. The saw works, but it sucks. Alright, for our last test, obviously we need to try to split something, so I have a 4x4 that is going to represent a piece of firewood, since I don't actually have firewood. And just for those of you that care, the grain is running this way, so obviously we're going to try to chop it this way, because that'll be more of a challenge. I'm also going to try to keep an eye on this dent in the blade to see if it dents more. Well, how about we actually hit it in the middle? Kind of what I expected. I do not believe that this is going to be a very good chopper. Come on. Yeah. It would be extremely hard to split wood with this thing. Let's say you wanted to baton with it. Even that is hard. This thing, let me just try to... Yeah, that's not what we want to do. Oh, that blade is destroyed. So here you can see how bad the axe part of the blade is. Especially down here. You can see how it's just folded over and even cracked right there on the edge and then bent over. And then if you look at it this way, you can see it's all just flattened and warped and smashed. So there's definitely something going on with this blade. So our Machete Axe Saw, this is one of those ones that just kind of slowly went downhill. In the beginning, just the machete part of it, great. I didn't have any problems with it, and I still think it would be a good machete if they took this same product and just took the saw off and then cut this hatchet part of it off. I think this would be a great machete. But then the axe part of it, it went down even farther, and then with the saw part of it, it just went over the edge. It's just, this thing is trying to be too many things at once when it is one good thing at once. So I don't fully understand though how, like, I looked at the machete part of the blade off camera, and I went over the whole thing. There's not a single dent, not a chip, not a bend, nothing. The machete blade is still perfect. It's still perfectly sharp throughout the entire blade, but somehow the axe part of it hitting the exact same piece of wood just gets, as you saw, just completely demolished and bent and chipped and everything else. I don't understand how that happened. Obviously there's no marks where this is like added on after this. This is just one stamped piece of steel. So is there like inconsistency in the heat treating? Is the steel just like really cheap, but you don't see it until you start putting it all the force on a smaller area? Like, I don't fully understand, but for whatever reason, the machete's fine and the axe head just gets completely destroyed, which ultimately renders it useless. So if you see this thing for sale, I would stay away from it. Next up, we have this thing, which is extremely underwhelming compared to what I thought I was buying. So you can see how small this thing is. This is extremely underwhelming compared to what I thought I was buying, because whenever I saw the pictures of this on Amazon, it looked like this was like a regular sized hatchet. So I thought this thing was going to be like this big, like a giant pair of pliers, a regular sized hammerhead, a full size I'm trying to mix the word axe and hatchet. A full-size hatchet. Whenever I got this box in the mail that was this big, I realized that this was absolutely not what I thought it was going to be. It's kind of, I think this thing is going to be pretty much useless compared to what I thought I was buying. We're still going to test it. We're still going to see what we can do with it. It's supposed to be a 16-in-1 survival type of thing. So it's got all these tools, kind of like a Swiss Army knife on the back. It's got a saw blade, or maybe, I think that's just a serrated knife actually. Maybe it's not a saw. Yeah, this is just a serrated knife blade. It's got like maybe it's supposed to be like some type of wrench, bottle opener, saw, screwdriver, and a knife. Actually, let's go ahead, let's test this knife. See how sharp that is. Let's get a piece of paper. Okay. Oh, nice. Ooh, look at that. It can't even, man, if I had a knife this sharp, I don't even know what I would do. This thing, whew. So I think it's safe to say that the knife is probably going to be just as trash as the rest of this thing. I guess the only thing really, I have no faith in these tools back here. I don't think that they're going to be worth anything. So let's go ahead and try out the giant axe and see what we can do with the giant axe head of this thing. Actually, before we try out the axe part of it, I just remembered that the plier part has a wire snipper built in. So I just have a regular wire coat hanger. We're gonna see if we can snip this. Oh wow, these things are trash. Oh, are you kidding me? Even with two hands, it won't even cut it. It won't even cut a coat hanger. What's happening is, I know you can't see it on camera, but I can feel it in my hand. Whenever the coat hanger goes in here and I start to squeeze it, oh, this thing's falling apart now. Oh, check this out. This handle, I'm sure you can hear, the thing is loose just from squeezing it hard. This pin is just falling out that holds this whole thing together. The sidewall of this thing is bent out where the handle was flexing from trying to cut the clothes hanger. Well, that doesn't do any good for my test. All right, well, I have the handle locked down. I guess we won't do any more. I guess we won't do any more cutting tests or anything. That is like absolutely ridiculous. I know you guys saw me, squeezing on this thing with two hands trying to cut this coat hanger and it wouldn't cut it. So just for reference, an actual pair of good side cutters to cut a coat hanger is literally nothing. This should be able to cut it like that. So that's just a reference of how dull and how crappy these things are. So I guess for the sake of the review, we're gonna try out the Hammerhead side of this thing next. See if, I guess we'll start off with some little tiny drywall nails. Drive these, maybe it'll like dismantle itself the rest of the way before we get done. Ooh. Actually isn't too bad. Maybe if you needed to like hang a picture out in the woods, if you were trying to use this to survive, maybe you'd be alright. That's actually not bad at all. It is a little bit weird using it as a hammer because of this handle right here. So every time you hit, you end up like squeezing this thing when obviously this thing is already trying to dismantle itself. So let's get some bigger nails, see how it handles these. Ow! I'm just getting hurt like crazy today. Oh, this thing really is like dismantling itself. Oh no. Come on. Stay together with me. Okay, so. Oh man, now it's like really. Oh, the pin has pulled out of the other side now. An attempt at cutting a coat hanger. Popped one pin out. And then we drove two drywall nails. And then one regular side nail with a hammer. And then another pin came out and it's dismantling itself. This pin is on its way out, so now let's use the little axe head part and see if we can do a little choppy right here and see if that just dismantles it the rest of the way. This is so weird to use. Oh no. Yeah, there we go. Wow. I really did not expect this thing to do very good. However, I did not expect this thing to just completely self-destruct whenever I started using it. I expected it to just like not really be very good at anything and maybe like, just perform badly, but that was it. But I definitely did not expect it to like just literally fall into pieces from trying to be used. That's crazy. All right, so since this thing literally self-destructed, I have to give this a 0 out of 10. Pretty much doesn't get any lower than this, than completely self-destructing during use. I wasn't even hitting anything that hard. I mean, I was probably hitting with the axe maybe like 30%, maybe driving the nails probably 30%. If you actually had to hit something with this hammer, you'd probably get 2 hits out of it before the whole thing just falls apart. This thing, legitimately, you'd be better off with nothing than you would be with this thing. This thing sucks. And if you're curious about the brand, it's however you pronounce this, Quintonist. If you see this brand, definitely stay away from this. Now, our next thing might actually be a good replacement for the one that just self-destructed. This is this is an off-grid tools survival axe. This is another axe, hammer, saw thing. This is more, actually probably, more of like a hatchet, but it's got a bunch of different like tools. They say that like this rectangle right here, they say this is like a bottle opener / gas shut off. They say that this right here is like I think they called it like a destructive grip something or other. It was something weird I've never heard of. And it has like different size bolt heads here in the head. And it's got the hammerhead with the nail puller, and it's got another nail puller up here, and then of course the hatchet. You have a little knob that you twist right here, that you push in and twist, and then you have a saw blade that comes out. So now you have a saw. So it's kind of a lot of things in one. We'll see how this works. The saw blade in this handle, this whole design, I absolutely hate this design because the only thing, this saw blade right here, is it comes up and then it kind of slides back and clicks into place. So all it takes to fold this saw, because you're going to be holding it like this. So all it takes to fold this saw blade down on top of your hand is for the tip of this to get moved just a little bit over, and then the blade can come down right on top of your hand. I'm really not a big fan of that. It might be alright, but if you were sawing something and you kind of like went at an angle for a second, you could easily jam this blade down on top of your fingers, and I think that's a horrible design. I wish it had a different locking mechanism. And then it also has a seatbelt cutter, glass breaker. It's kind of like an all-in-one. This seems kind of like something that you would like just chuck under your like driver's seat or something in case you, I don't know, drove out in the middle of nowhere and got lost and needed help or something. Let's go ahead and test. Let's start off with the Hammerhead. See how that works. So just like before, let's start off with just a couple drywall nails, which I'm sure will be fine. It's actually great. I know it looks like really unsafe to be using this as a hammer when you're swinging this thing up towards yourself when it's like an axe head, but to be fair, it's actually not sharpened at all. That'll be a test for the axe part of it. Let's try out, I'm gonna drive this down just not as far and try out the nail removing part. So let's leave it like right there. Oh, that's beautiful. The hammerhead part is actually a little bit rolled too, so it kind of just rolls right up. That's actually really nice. Oh, look at that. One that's like real down in there. Oh, that's perfect. This thing is actually nice for removing nails. Let's try one of these big nails, see if it's just as easy. Drives it in just fine. Let's see here. Oh, it's down a little bit too far to grab it that way. So let's use this side. Perfect. It's a little bit too long. Seems we've reached a problem. So these nails, that nail's still about half in there. I didn't think this would be a problem. So it doesn't have quite enough leverage like a normal hammer would to pull the nail all the way out. If you're gonna get one of these things and you're gonna drive nails with it, you can't take out very long nails because you just don't have the leverage. So like I said, the axe part of this, or the axe blade part of this, is almost not sharpened at all. Like it's, ground to an edge, but it's not actually, you can tell it's never been sharpened since this thing has been painted. So I don't think it's gonna do a whole lot, but let's go ahead and see. Maybe it might be kind of good. That's actually not bad. Especially for something that's not even like sharp. It makes me kind of wonder what like an actual hatchet would do. So let's try that out. This one's actually pretty sharp. I mean, it definitely does more, but it's honestly not far off of what that's doing. So that's pretty impressive. Definitely gonna wear a glove for this next part. Because like I said, I'm semi-terrified about the way this saw blade is set up. We'll see if we can cut through a 2x4. This blade looks just like a regular like wood cutting sawzall blade that's just been put inside of its handle. So it should actually cut pretty decently, I would assume. If you paid attention, I almost did it. I almost pulled it out right where that saw blade could have easily folded onto my hand. That was a close call. I literally just did it, except for I accidentally bent it this way. If I would have gone this way, I really do not like the way this saw blade is set up. This thing is not very good. holding it like this. Maybe that's the way to go. This is ridiculous. I should be through this thing by now. There we go. I cut it all the way through. Jeez, that felt like it took a lifetime. Now this brings us back to the old 4x4 split. Same as last time. Actually, I'm gonna do it this way. The grind runs this way, so we're gonna split it this way. All right. That was absolutely not what I expected. Wow. That first one didn't even stand a chance, and this literally just like blew it apart. Huh. No way. I'm gonna get another piece just in case that was like a fluke or something. Oh, see? Maybe that other one was just a little bit weak. Or maybe not. Let's try to hit here again. Maybe this thing is just actually good. No way. Huh. This thing is just actually good. I'm decently impressed with this thing. So we got one last thing to test, which is the seatbelt cutter. So I have this seatbelt here. See if we can cut it. Oh, that was beautiful. That was so perfect. I think part of the problem is this seatbelt is like frayed in weird ways. I mean, we got one really good cut out of it. I think it's where this seatbelt is like just old and like frayed in weird different ways. And I'm also trying to cut it at a weird angle. Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, seatbelt cutter works fine. I think this thing is actually pretty decent, especially if you bought this thing and you took the time to put an edge on it. That would really make it way better. And then if you just took this saw apart and just take this off, throw it in a river somewhere, and then just carry a different saw or something. Don't use this one. This design is horrible and you're gonna get your finger chopped off. But other than that, I think this thing's pretty solid. So I'd give this thing like a 6.5 out of 10, something like that. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better than nothing. Next product, the Sportsman Pocket Chainsaw. It is literally exactly what it says, a pocket chainsaw. It's just a chain, basically the same type of chain that you would have on a chainsaw, except for instead of being powered by a chainsaw, you become the chainsaw. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 teeth. I don't know how that compares to, it's also 36 inches long, so I don't know how that compares to the amount of teeth a regular chainsaw chain would have. I'm assuming it's a few less. It just has 2 handles here, very straightforward. See if it works. So I think the plan is very simple. This is going to be a little bit awkward because obviously this is supposed to be used on like a standing tree. You're supposed to have it like around something and then be pulling it back and forth. Don't have a tree that needs cut down, so I just have the 4x4 that's going to represent our tree. So my plan is to just kind of stand right here and kind of put some weight on the tree so it doesn't move around, and then just kind of saw through it. Alright, let's go about there. Oh, this might actually be pretty decent. Ooh. Oh, come on. It's a lot harder to balance on it whenever you're pulling left and right than you think. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Ooh, that actually worked like pretty much flawlessly. I'm surprised. Final thoughts on the pocket chainsaw. I really like this thing. The cut is a little bit crooked and it's a really rough cut, but I mean, come on, it's a freehand chainsaw. What can you expect? It could have been a straighter cut if I probably would have tried a little bit harder. But other than that, the only concern that I have for this thing is I would like to know how durable it is and how much you can cut before it gets so dull that it's just not going to be worth it, like worth the effort anymore. That's not really what this thing is made for, I don't guess. Like, you're not going to be out, like, this isn't going to be your main way of cutting down trees. Like, this is just like a survival slash camping, like in an emergency type of tool. So like, this isn't going to replace your chainsaw. This is like to get you out of a pinch. So with that being said, I definitely like it, especially because it's very compact. It takes up almost no room. I mean, you could literally stick this thing anywhere, especially like in a vehicle. And then if like you were in a situation where you needed this thing and you had this inside of your vehicle, this thing could be an absolute lifesaver. And then, of course, the best part of all, it literally works exactly as advertised. And I don't know how long it took me to cut through that, but 30, 45 seconds, something like that. If you're in the market for a pocket chainsaw, I would definitely recommend this one. All right, so this is one of our last items. This is another axe. This one has, if you remember the survival cane that we did, or the survival shovel, it's like a metal tube that screws together in sections, and then between each section there's like a different like tool, like a knife or a saw or whatever. Same thing with this. It's the same kind of design, except for this one has an axe on the end, so a little bit different. Seems pretty sharp. It seems pretty well built. It's actually like kind of thick. So we're gonna kind of do this review in reverse. We're gonna start chopping wood to begin with, and then we'll end at the table and review the things that are inside. Let's see how it handles. Splitting the wood. As always, grain runs this way. We're splitting this way. Ooh, I kind of expected that to fly apart, but I also didn't hit that hard. Okay. Is there a... Oh, there's a giant knot right there. I didn't even see that knot. Let's just get a new piece. That knot's gonna ruin everything. Alright. Ooh. Just what you would expect. Look at that. Easy. I thought it was getting loose, but it was just kind of a little bit unscrewed. So this axe part is actually... It's not quite as good as the other one that had the saw on the handle. The axe part's not quite as good as that one, but I mean, it's still pretty good. So this thing is definitely off to a good start. That's pretty impressive. So this thing splits pretty well, but let's get down to business. See what's on the inside. Oh, there's a spike. So like you could like hit somebody, hit a window, although it's not super sharp. I wish I had some mason jars that I could sacrifice to test this thing out, but it's just a metal spike, so you can just... Ooh, that actually left a pretty good dent. So yeah, that would actually do a lot of damage. If you were in a car or something that was upside down in the river or whatever, you could definitely use this to break some glass. So up here... Okay, there's just a knife and a saw blade on that end. Was that really it? Huh. I thought there was more tools in there than that. I guess there's just the axe head and then the knife and the saw blade. So you could take this part of the handle off and carry just this, put this little end cap on here, and then you could have like a little tiny like miniature hatchet. So let's do a paper test. Oh man, here we have another one of these knives that are just, whew, man, these things are sharp. The sharpness on this thing, if you have one of these, you gotta watch out. You could really do some damage. Let's break out the Sharpness Tester, see what it scores on that. New high-end cutlery edge is between like 250 to 350. I'm gonna say that this right here is probably gonna end somewhere around the 1,000 range, which falls under the severely rolled edges category. Let's see. Yikes. 1,200. Yeah, 1,200 falls under the severely rolled edges category. 1,400 and it would have been under the category of a bent edge. Yeah, this thing is extremely dull. Although it's weird, whenever you like roll over with your thumb, I guess this just proves how inaccurate this is to see how sharp something is. It doesn't feel like it's a 1200 dull. Now, I don't have very high hopes for this. That's why I didn't set up the big 2x4 with the clamps and everything. Let's try out this little saw that's on the back of this thing. Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. It would take you a year to get through this thing. That is absolutely horrible. I would almost rather just not have a saw at all than if I had to work with this saw. I'm gonna give this thing a pretty decent score. Like, I would rate this thing like a 7.2 out of 10. That it's gonna be so heavy duty and so durable, and the axe is actually pretty decent and pretty sharp. So I'm considering this thing like 95% an axe, and I'm just kind of ignoring the things in the middle. As far as just purely an axe goes, it's really not that bad. Now, I don't know how it would hold up over time, but at least for this very short time that I've tested it, I think it's pretty good. Last item. This one's gonna be really quick, because I honestly don't even remember ordering this thing, and it's like really crappy. So basically what it is it's almost the same design kind of as this. It's just a bunch of metal tubes that hook together, and they have like tools in between the metal tubes. But the main thing is it's just like just a short club with a spike at the end. So Gary, my lovely assistant that I love so much and care for so much, is going to help me demonstrate. Basically, what you could do with this thing is you could hit somebody with it, or you could stab somebody with it, and then I'll show you what's on the inside. So if you're being attacked, so you can just... That's quite a bit louder than I anticipated. So get them out of the way. And then on the inside, a fork and a knife. Something here that I don't know what that is. And it looks like a bottle opener. So you can, let's say you were a cannibal, you could stab somebody and then you can eat them. And then you can have a drink with your bottle opener. That's all the tools inside. Think of it in a less gruesome way. Then you can just use the tip to break glass if you were stuck in a car that had rolled over or something like that. So that's the last item. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.